Okay guys, this is another very quick tutorial and we're going to look today at how we can get some control over the fonts that we're using in our site. And in particular, we'll be looking at Google Fonts. So just quickly, we've got this very simple setup that you're probably very used to. And what I want to do is I want to change the font of the heading to something different that will pick up on Google Fonts. So just so you know that where we are, I'm basically in the at font face part, and I'm just going through the README at the moment, and I've also got L7 HTML open, and that's just some there. You can have a look at it. It's basically set up right at the beginning. So let's have a look at the README just briefly. So we're going to learn how to use Google Fonts and integrate them into our websites. We're going to use font face. We're going to apply custom fonts, understand loading and fallback strategies, and we're going to try and ensure consistent typography through devices. So what is add font face? Add font face is a CSS rule that allows us to define fonts to be used on our web page. And most importantly, it allows the receiving computer to actually receive a copy of that font so it can actually download it from the server. Now, there's two ways to send fonts to a server, and you must use the first of these methods. So we must use at font face. That's for local font files. In other words, fonts that are bundled with your website. We'll go through the details of that in the basically the tutorial. But the second method is a Google Fonts alternate method, and it involves links. Now, once you get the assessment task documentation, it's going to make it very clear to you, and in class I'll make it very clear to you, that you're not allowed to put any link that has an HTTP in there at all. Because what's going to happen is when I actually test your website, I'm going to put my computer in airplane mode, which means it won't download anything off the internet. So anything that you haven't bundled with the website, I'm not going to be able to see. Okay, so be aware that this is a method, but it's not one that you can use for your assessment task. So you need to know how to use the at font face method. Hopefully that's clear. I don't know that we've got any. We'll talk about all the rest of the stuff. Let's go to our script now. Let's turn this off, and maybe let's turn our okay, and so this is what we're looking at. And so we want to change this font. And so actually the very first step of this process is to go to Google Fonts. I will just bring that up now. Okay, so this is Google Fonts, and I strongly advise you to grab all of your fonts from here. They're going to be in the right format for you to use. You can search this site, find the perfect font for you, and maybe it's this one, for instance. Maybe festive just looks beautiful to you, so you can click on it. You can test it, so you can actually test what it's going to look like. I believe, yeah, that's so you go, yep, that's exactly what I want on my website, and then you can just get the font, and it's great. You can download it, and it'll come in a zipped folder. That's fine. So it'll go down to my D drive, and I will open up the folder, extract it, and then I end up with a TTF file. Now that's important. That's what actually contains the basically the font information. And so what you need to do is you need to put that in your document. So I might just move this over to my other screen for a minute. Bear with me, get myself organized here. Okay, so what you really want is usually you're going to have a subfolder or something like that. In my case, I've got source files. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this in here and drag it down into there. And now I've got Fascinate, Festive, and Mea Culpa. So I've got 3 different fonts that I might want to use. Okay, so how do we go about getting this to appear in your document? So somewhere in your style sheet, either right up the top or maybe right down the bottom, I'm not sure what's standard actually, but you go basically add font face, and your font family. So the font family is actually just a word that you can make up to describe the font. Um, we will call it maybe festive, since that's what we're using. So I might go festive, and the URL. What I do here is I put quotes in. Now, I don't know if this will work on a Mac or not, but on Windows, as soon as I put quotes, then I automatically get this sort of prompting thing. Otherwise, you might have to type in the name of the subfolder and then the file itself. But for me, I just get this. I select it, the tab. I go down, I get tab. And so now I've set this up. Now I can go into whatever class I want. Sorry about that. I can go into whatever class I want. And I can go font family. And I can go festive. Single quote. Capital F. And you can see straight away it changes up here, which is great. So that's worked. Now, probably what you would do is you usually have, by convention, you usually have a fallback to Arial or something more conventional. Anyway, that is how you basically use Add Font Face to change your fonts.